Even the best cartoons aren't perfect, and Peppa Pig is one of them. Let's look at some hilarious mistake that we found in Peppa Pig. Like in the episode Grandpa Pig's Greenhouse. At the end part of the episode, when Grandad Dog is making the tomato salad, we noticed a couple of funny mistakes. When Grandad Dog finishes making salad, he serves it to everyone. And as we can see here, everyone's plate is filled with salad. But look at the amount of salad left in the bowl. It's exactly the same as it was when he first made it. It seems like Grandad Dog did an infinite tomato salad glitch. And that's not all. When the characters start eating their tomato salad, the bowl only has tomatoes in it. But when the camera cuts back into the place where all the characters are shown, the bowl then shows the basil leaves in it. Seriously, something fishy is going on with this salad. In the episode where Evie goes to a restaurant for the very first time, we noticed a bunch of mistakes. Let's start with the cups on the table. At first, you can clearly see where they're placed, but just seconds later, without anyone touching them, their positions suddenly change. And that's not all. Watch Daddy Pig carefully. After he finishes eating, he pushes his plate toward the middle of the table. But in the very next shot, the plate magically jumped back to its original spot in front of him. In the episode Hoops, there's a pretty funny mistake. When all the kids are grabbing hoops from the basket, we also see Zoe Zebra joining in. But here's the problem. Just a moment ago, she wasn't even in the classroom. Unless Zoe figured out how to teleport, this is clearly an animation slip. And it doesn't stop there. When everyone is playing with their hoops, Zoe mysteriously disappears again, like she was never there in the first place. It's almost like she popped in for one shot and then vanished into thin air. In the episode Canyon Country, as the pig family prepares to board Miss Rabbit's helicopter, take a close look at Mummy Pig's boots. You'll clearly see they are blue. However, just moments later, when she's descending the ladder onto the boat, her boots have magically changed color to purple. Did she pack a spare pair, or is this another case of some quick color-changing animation? This next era is a bit of a disappearing act. In the episode Lifeboat, when Peppa arrives at the dockyard, Grampy Rabbit comes out of the hatch of his boat. But moments later, when everyone is standing on top of the spot where the hatch originally was, the hatch has now disappeared. We didn't see anyone close it or move it. Where did it go? Maybe Grampy Rabbit's boat has a secret, retractable hatch? Or perhaps the animators were just a little too quick with the vanishing act. And that's not all. Initially, if we look at the lever of the boat, we can see it is positioned much farther from the steering wheel. But in the end part of the episode, when they're sailing off, the lever is now mysteriously located beside the steering wheel. Did Grampy Rabbit install a rotating lever, or did the boat decide to rearrange its controls mid-voyage? In the episode Dr. Hamster's Tortoise, Dr. Hamster the Veterinarian has come to visit the children and talk about the 3 pets she brought. And when she's talking with the children, we can notice Candy Cat is also there. But later in the episode, when Dr. Hamster realizes her pet tortoise has climbed up the tree, she calls Miss Rabbit's fire engine service. When the fire service crew is going to the location, we can notice a car behind them, but the issue is, Candy Cat is sitting in the back seat. But how could it be possible? Earlier, we saw her in the classroom, but now she's here sitting in the car. Seriously, this is really a weird mistake. In the episode Cardboard Hospital, look closely at the way Peppa shows the sheets of paper. First, she shows the top sheet, and there's a blue dinosaur. She puts it back. Then she takes the sheet in the middle, and it's a green dinosaur. She puts that sheet on top, and she takes the sheet from the middle again. It's not hard to guess that there's a blue dinosaur. But no, it's a purple dinosaur. But Peppa didn't pick up the bottom sheet. So how could we see the third dinosaur? In the episode Safety First, there's a really odd animation slip. When Daddy Pig opens the safety gate, watch closely. It literally phases right through Peppa and George's faces like they're not even there. Now, the next one isn't exactly an animation mistake, but more of a logical one. When Peppa and George start baby-proofing the house, they cover everything in bubble wrap. But here's the problem. How on earth did they manage to wrap the hanging lamp? There's no way those 2 little piglets could have reached it. In the episode Daddy's Movie Camera, we noticed a few mistakes. Peppa and George are having their breakfast when Daddy Pig receives the delivery of his movie camera. Now look at the table here. As we can see, there are 2 bowls of cereals and 2 glasses of orange juice. But moments later, when Daddy Pig puts his camera on the table, the cereal bowl and the orange juice glass disappear. And that's not all. Later in the episode, Daddy Pig plugs in his camera to the TV to see the footage he captured. Now look where the cable is plugged. It's on the bottom part of the TV. When we get the zoomed in view of the TV, the cable that was plugged in is nowhere to be seen. But then again, when we get the wide shot of the room, we can see the cable again. In the episode Kylie Kangaroo and her family go to Peppa's house for a visit. When they arrive at the pig family's house, the entire pig family comes outside to greet them. Now look carefully at the pig family. We can notice that Peppa and George are standing right in front of Daddy and Mummy Pig. But the issue is, when the scene zooms in to Peppa and George, Mummy and Daddy Pig disappear from the frame. But earlier, we saw they were right behind Peppa and George. There's one more mistake in this episode, and it is even funnier. After Peppa and George meet Kylie Kangaroo and her brother Joey, Peppa shows Kylie how to jump up and down in muddy puddles. Now look at the size of Muddy Puddle. It's quite small. But when other characters start to jump in the puddle, the size of it magically changes. We can clearly see the puddle changing its size out of nowhere.
Now moving on to the episode Recycling. When Peppa goes to the trash can, if you look carefully, you'll spot some paintings right above the trash can. But just seconds later, those exact same paintings magically appear hanging above the stove. And finally, when Mummy Pig shows Peppa the recycling boxes, things get even stranger. We see the boxes sitting on the right side of the fridge, but that makes no sense. In every other episode, the fridge is shown pressed against the wall, leaving no space at all for those boxes. In the episode Grandpa Pig's Computer, Peppa and George go to their grandparents' house to get their broken clock fixed. So, to fix the clock, Grandpa Pig goes to his shed. Now, look carefully. If we look right behind the clock, we can notice a tool basket. But the mistake is, moments later, the basket magically disappears. And that's not all. When Grandpa Pig finally fixes the clock, the basket magically reappears. Moving on, in the episode The Toy Cupboard, we spotted some hilarious mistakes. Right here, if you look at the door, there's a letter slot. But just moments later, when Mr. Zebra opens the door, the slot completely disappears. And in the scene where Peppa hands the cupboard's legs to George, it looks like her arms are growing straight out of her chin. In the episode The Baby Piggy, when Chloe brings out a pram from the shed, look closely at the shed itself. At first, there's a flag sitting on top, but in the very next shot, that flag completely disappears. And here's another odd one. When Peppa points out that George is a boy baby, we clearly see a ball beside them. But just moments later, that ball completely vanishes into thin air. In the episode The Library, when Daddy Pig sits down to read The Wonderful World of Concrete, the moon and stars that were shining through the window earlier are now completely missing. And at the end of the episode, Susie is holding her library book. But here's the mistake. Earlier it was green, and now it's orange. The episode Please and Thank You starts off with the pig family having breakfast with Grandpa and Grandma Pig. Right here, Mummy Pig is about to pour juice into Peppa's glass. If you look carefully, the jug is almost filled to the top, right up to the upper handle. After she pours, the level goes down, which makes sense. But here's the weird part. When Mummy Pig turns to George and asks if he'd like some juice, suddenly the jug is completely full again. Looks like Mummy Pig has discovered some kind of infinite juice glitch. And that's not the only mistake. Later in the episode at Playgroup, Susie is sitting behind Richard Rabbit and in front of Peppa. But when the scene zooms in on her, somehow Edmund Elephant has teleported right in front of her. Now for this next mistake, we'll play the clip for you. See if you can spot the mistake.
Ooh. These seeds will grow into beautiful flowers.
Did you spot it? When Grandpa Pig is yapping about the seeds, notice where the watering can is positioned. And then the scene zooms onto the seeds and back to its original position. But look at the watering can. Its position has shifted a bit between the frames. And that's not all. There are even funnier mistakes in this episode. Look at Grandpa Pig defying the laws of gravity. The way in which he is holding the box, all the seeds should be spilled at once. But here, only one seed is being spilled at a time. And earlier, the box was filled with seeds. But as soon as the first seed was spilled, the box became half empty. And a few seconds later, the box is full of seeds once more. Is this some sort of infinite seed glitch? And the final mistake in this episode is really weird. When Grandpa Pig is chasing away the birds, his arm overlaps Peppa's face. Peppa's face has now got an arm growing out of it. Now let's look at the errors in the episode Tooth Fairy. In this scene, we can clearly see the edge of the table, and there's nothing there. But when the scene zooms out, a plate with spaghetti appears, and in this scene, Peppa Peppa is walking by the staircase, but there's something missing here. Shouldn't there be a basement door here? And also in some episodes, the door leads to a basement, and in some, it's simply a storage room. And that's not all. When Peppa is brushing her teeth, look at the heart symbol on her clothes moving from one side to the other. And also, in this scene, there's nothing behind them. But moments later, a sink appears. And the next day, as soon as the sun rose, we noticed another mistake. Hours passed and the sun came up, but the clouds here didn't move an inch. And those were some of the funniest animation mistakes in Peppa Pig. Did you spot any others that we missed? Drop them in the comments and we might feature them next time.